What's up, guys? It is Trevor the Great here again with another Way of the Swan battle report. This time it is Siege versus Rahn, Cygnar versus Retribution, which is becoming more and more of a staple on this little show. So I think I'll have to find some other opponents that aren't Retribution players to play. But anyway, this is a battle report I've been sitting on for a little while. So I played this a couple weeks ago, and so I don't have all of the details. I can't rattle them off the top of my head, but I think I got most of it, so don't worry about it. For those who don't know, this is an abridged battle report, so I'm going to take the last game that I played and recorded, and I'm going to speed it up, and I'm going to give you a commentary on it to give you some insight into why we did what we did in this game. And hopefully you'll learn something cool, or not, and then you can ridicule me in the comments, so everybody wins. Anyway, I was playing Markus Siege Brisbane, kind of a standard list with him. I keep trying him around, and every time I do, he doesn't really work for me, so I was trying something pretty stock standard with a couple changes. But this is the latest list I played. It is Siege, and in his battle group is a Stormwall. He's got a Squire for the +2 inches on the control area so that he can pre-measure the range of his gun. That's the big thing, and also increase the control area for the feet. And, of course, the +1 focus 3 times. I've got a unit of Arcane Tempest gun mages with their unit attachment because they're super awesome. A maximum unit of Greygore, Boomhowler, and co. Siege a lot of times has a problem with getting up the field and contesting scenario zones because he likes to play the ranged game quite a bit. So Boomhowlers give him a way to get up close and personal with his opponent. Lady Aiyana and Master Holt for the extra damage, and Holt's got 2 awesome guns, so let's put those to use. A unit of Rangers. A Journeyman Warcaster, Professor Victor Pendrake. Pendrake's got a lot of good beast lore targets in this list. The gun mages are perfect. Siege is just fine, and even the Boomhowlers can get a lot of work done with beast lore on them. Especially if I run into those light armor, high defense war beasts like MkII or Warp Wolves. Even Boomhowlers with boosted attack rolls can get a lot of damage onto those models with beast lore. Obviously, Siege's best little buddy, Reinholdt the Gobber Speculator, for the extra giant rocket cannon shot that Reinholdt keeps around in his back pocket for some reason. And then, last but not least, Taryn de la Rovissi, the Loyalist gun mage. She's in there I don't know, I had 2 extra points. And I've been kind of wanting to try her out a little bit more after the errata that allowed Darkfire to affect everybody, not just mercenary models. And so she seems pretty good if Siege needs to go an assassination run and doesn't want to spend the focus to foxhole something. Then she can Darkfire it, and additionally she's 2 reasonably high rat guns for his feet turn, so that sounds pretty good to me. Let's see how she works. On the other side of the table is going to be the Retribution of Scyra, led by Adeptis Rahn, as I said before. In his battle group is a Hyperion, so it's going to be a big battle of the giant robots. He's also got a Phoenix for the Arc node, and the fact that Phoenixes are incredibly fast and durable and hit really hard. Especially with telekinesis, so Rahn can telekinesis the Phoenix and even possibly the Phoenix's target, so the Phoenix can get very, very far across the board with that huge Power and Strength 19 sword once the Arcanists come into play. He's got Silas Wishnail here for the focus efficiency and the Arcane Secrets for 1 spell. Dawn Guard Sentinels, max unit with the Officer and Standard Bearer, a unit of House Shail Battle Mages. I love the names in Retribution models. It is the coolest part of about their whole faction. A minimum unit of House Guard Halberdiers with their Officer and Standard Bearer, as well as 2 Arcanists and a House Shail Magister for the movement shenanigans and to take advantage of that awesome feat. So, those are the lists shaping up the scenario today. Is supply and demand, so there's a giant 12-inch circle in the middle of the table, and 1 objective on each side. You score 1 control point if you control the scenario zone, 2 control points if you dominate it, and 1 control point if you destroy your opponent's objective. However, you cannot dominate the zone while the objective is in your Warcaster's control area. So most Warcasters are going to have to destroy it before they can dominate that zone. So yeah, let's get into this game. Alrighty, here's the game just after deployment. I'll go into deployment a little bit. As you can see, most of the Colossals pre-deployed, pretty much in the center line. There's not really a zone they need to go for in this game, so they're just going to probably contest that zone and try to destroy the enemy models that enter it when they get up in there. As you can see, I've deployed my Boomhowlers sort of on the far side there. On my left flank. They're going to try to get into the zone. Not everybody's going to get into the zone because Rahn has a lot of blast damage and shooting that can take them out, so they're just going to try to contest for as long as possible. And then gun mages behind them, and then rangers and siege and a bunch of other stuff on the right-hand flank. This is the Retribution turn, as you can see, so everything's just running forward. The Dawn Guard Sentinels are on my left flank, the sort of top of the screen there, and then the House Guard Halberdiers are closer to the bottom. They're going to be on my right-hand flank, and then the Phoenix, Hyperion, and Rahn are sort of going in the center, along with the Battle Mages and Rahn's support staff. So, the way this game is going to match up probably is that the Gun Mage is going to be fighting the Dawn Guard Sentinels. I'm going to be probably relying on Siege's feet to try to take out the Dawn Guard Sentinels. And what we're rolling here is Rahn actually, to get extra distance, charged the Hyperion, did a couple points of damage to its shield. Not really anything crazy. Alright, so switching over to me. So like I said, was saying before, the Gun Mages really need to rely on Siege's feet in order to deal with those Sentinels, unless I can get some key Arcane Infernos off. Here's the Boomhowlers running, calling Defiance. They got Arcane Shield from the Journeyman Warcaster. There's this really annoying forest here. As you can see, the trees are not removable, so the Stormwall is getting removed so it doesn't crush anything, and it's being replaced by a base you can sort of see being propped up on the tree there. Here are the Rangers going, taking some pot shots at the Halberdiers, just to see what they can do. It's Siege going, putting down a foxhole that a couple of the support models are running into. Siege is in that forest there, and then the Gun Mage is spreading out on that far left-hand flank. Alright, back to the Retribution turn. Obviously, turn 1 and 2, not very exciting, not a lot going on. Just a lot of running to get into the scenario zones. As you can see, I've put 3 Boomhowlers in there. Hopefully that will stall my opponent long enough. He's either got to kill them or have them start jamming up his Warjacks, which is not something he wants to do, considering that even Colossals can't trample medium bases, so they're going to be stuck down if those Boomhowlers get in there and refuse to die. Here we go, my opponent moving his what do you call it? Halberdiers. They're charging some of the Rangers that got up too close. Unfortunately, for me anyway, the charge order means that the Halberdiers are not getting the shield wall order, which means they will be lower armor in the subsequent turn. He's hoping to take out a couple of my Rangers because those Rangers are very important to how Siege can work there. Not getting a heck of a lot done, and most of the Halberdiers hiding behind that little obstruction there on the bottom of the screen. Here are the Sentinels going, just running up, a couple of them getting chargers off on that one Boomhowler. But they are just running up into defensive formation to get that +2 armor. Push them up in armor 17, which is very difficult to deal with for a lot of the power 10 guns that Cygnar tends to have. Fortunately, Siege has some outs for that between his feet and Ground Pounder on his cannon, which is a power 12 AoE. Here's the Phoenix going, taking some random pot shots at some Boomhowlers, hitting, damaging Boomhowler toughs. The 4+ tough and the Boomhowlers is what makes them such good tar pits, because basically half of the time that you attack them, they're just not going to die. Here's a Hyperion going in, contesting the zone there, taking some shots. I think with its little cannon. Oh no, this is with its giant Starburst cannon. Hitting all 3 Boomhowlers, killing one of them. And then the blast damage, because they have Arcane Shield, isn't getting a lot done. And the little guns taking shots. These are little power 12 guns that it has on its fists. With strafe, I believe, or auto fire. I don't remember off the top of my head. Just taking another Boomhowler out, so there's one left in the zone there. So I believe we're back to my turn. So my plan here, first of all, I need to take out the Phoenix. What the Phoenix does is it allows Rahn to really get assassination runs off just about any time. Oh, I made a mistake. It's still my opponent's turn. He's just moving up Battle Mages. So the Phoenix is going to be what allows Rahn to get most of his work done with his spells, because it has an arc node, so he's going to be able to cast spells through it and remain safe. If Rahn does come forward, Siege has all of the tools he needs to kill him, so Rahn needs to stay pretty far back in order to survive. But that Phoenix is going to allow Rahn not only to wreak havoc amongst my low armor infantry with spells like Chain Blast, but also threaten Siege with assassination with his Force Hammer spells and his feet. So that's not something I want, so I'm going to need to take out the Phoenix as quickly as possible. Here's the Gun Mages going, using their seldom used Arcane Inferno to deal some damage to the to the Dawnguard Sentinels, Arcane Inferno is a combined range attack that turns into an AoE. And because of the way combined range attack works, it adds +1 to the damage roll for every model participating, which means that even that blast damage gets +1. So it can do a lot of damage to clustered infantry if a lot of gun mages participate. Here are the Boomhowlers going, just trying to get some shots off at or melee attacks at the Dawnguard Sentinels. Boomhowlers aren't very good at shooting, but they need 8s to hit Dawnguard Sentinels and then 6s to kill with their Power 12 blunderbusses. So hopefully they'll be able to get 1 or 2 casualties on them. Probably not, because they're terrible at actually fighting, but, you know, that's how it goes. A lot of dice rolling. A lot of dice rolling. Alright, so here's the Stormwall going, turning back into a real boy. He's walking up, just towing that forest so he can block line of sight to siege. And then taking some gunshots at the Phoenix. I have to boost a hit because the Phoenix is in concealment. And then taking out most of his shield there with those big gunshots. And then dropping covering fire in order to protect as many of the gun mages and Boomhowlers as possible from the retribution of the Dawnguard Sentinels. And dropping a pod to zap as many Houseguard Halberdiers as possible. I believe that was the officer there that the second model hit by the pod, so I wasn't able to kill him. I would have had to roll a 9 to deal the maximum damage. Alright, so Siege, not getting reloaded by Reinholdt. It wasn't necessary at this time. He's going up using a ground pounder to hit 3 or 4 of those Houseguard Halberdiers. He doesn't really need to boost his attack rolls because of the Rangers in proximity, so he gets +2. So that makes him very efficient at shooting at people with his awesome cannon. Alright, now the Rangers going. They're just going to spread out and try to take out as many of those Halberdiers as possible so they can stop jamming my lines and stopping me from shooting. The Rangers are actually very self-sufficient when it comes to shooting because they give each other the +2 attack bonus for mark target. Which means that they basically become Rat 8 Power 11 shots, which is pretty significant against most infantry. Even Defense 15 infantry has to start respecting that if Rangers can get within 5 inches. So, Rangers pretty good at shooting, taking out all sorts of Halberdiers there. There you go. Looks like the last one gone. So my opponent going, the Phoenix regenerates D6 hit points in its Phoenix field when active, or at the beginning of the turn. And then because I killed a number of Dawnguard Sentinels, I triggered Vengeance on that unit, which means that they will be able to make a 3-inch advance and a normal melee attack before their activation begins. It's in the maintenance phase. Obviously, only 1 model in melee attack range. Oh, 2 models. I had 2 Boomhowlers up there. Rahn allocating a couple to the Hyperion to get some shots off with its gun. Here are the Dawnguard Sentinels going first, receiving a charge order. Most of them going into gun mages and a couple into Boomhowlers. So one of the Dawnguard Sentinels there charged at an angle that would not have put him into melee range. So we had to adjust that, and the angle that he needed to charge at would have gone through that covering fire. So he ended up taking a Power 12 and getting vaporized by a hail of bullets from the Stormwall. And the Dawnguard Sentinels taking a toll on the Boomhowlers. And 2 of them attacking the objective to deal a couple points of damage. Taking out that objective, especially for Rahn, who's a Focus 8 Warcaster, will allow him to dominate the zone. I think the math works out that a Focus 7 or 6 caster or less can dominate the zone. A Focus 7 caster has to be directly across from the objective, so as far away as possible in order to dominate the zone. Focus 6 can dominate it from basically anywhere at the edge of the zone. And then Focus 5, Focus or Fury 5 Warcasters and Warlocks have a pretty good shot at it. Here's the Phoenix going in. He got telekinesis from Rahn, and he's charging into the Stormwall. I totally forgot about telekinesis when I was placing my Stormwall, so I definitely put it far too close to my opponent. So I think what he's hoping here is that he's going to be able to do a significant amount of damage with the Phoenix and then hold up the Stormwall while it has to deal with the Phoenix in its face so that the Hyperion can finish it off in the next turn. Obviously, I don't want that to happen. The Stormwall is basically my game plan in this list. Once the Stormwall goes down in Siege's list, it's pretty much game over for Siege because I don't really have anything left to deal with that Hyperion. So besides, I guess Siege's gun whittling away at it slowly but surely. But that would take a couple turns, and either my opponent would win on scenario or simply kill Siege at that point because Rahn has ways to get that done. He's taking some shots from his little Thresher cannons into the objective, dealing a couple more points of damage, but nothing significant. And then repositioning, I think he took his shot from his Starburst cannon into the Stormwall. And then back to my turn. The Battle Mage is repositioning away from the Rangers because the Rangers do have a pretty good shot at killing them. And the Battle Mages are not as good at killing Rangers. They need 8s to hit with their Force Bolts, whereas the Rangers, if they get marked target off, need 7s to hit Battle Mages. So the Battle Mage is taking cover on that hill, not really cover, but elevation, so that they get an additional +2 defense against ranged attacks. So here we go, the Rangers going up, just trying to take some pot shots at some Dawnguard Sentinels. Rangers pretty good at killing Dawnguard Sentinels. They need to roll 7s to kill with their military rifles if they hit, and only 6s to hit if they don't have marked target. And then a couple extra shots into my opponent's objective just to deal damage because those Rangers have no other eligible targets. Alright, this is Victor Pendrake going, shooting an arrow at the objective because he doesn't have much to do. Making some decisions now. All of the thinking. Alright, here the Gun Mage is going, taking some free strikes from the Dawnguard Sentinels in order to get out of melee. I'm going to try for another Arcane Inferno, probably into the Officer, because if you kill that Officer, you deny Vengeance to the unit. And the Officer's right in front of that little pod there. So the Arcane Inferno killing off the Officer and all 3 Dawnguard Sentinels remaining. So there's one left in the center of that sort of semicircle of Gun Mages. So that was a big deal because the Gun Mages and the Boomhowlers were able to take out most of the Dawnguard Sentinels. That means the Gun Mages will be relatively unopposed for the rest of the game unless the Hyperion decides to turn its AoEs onto them. And Gun Mages are pretty good at killing Battle Mages, especially if they have the marked target bonus from Rangers. So those Gun Mages hopefully going to be pretty important for the rest of this game. Aiyana and Holt went up and moved into melee with the Phoenix in order to kiss it with Kiss of Lilith, and then the Stormwall going, using a couple points of focus to beat the Phoenix to death, and then dropping a pod to kill, I think that was actually one last Dawnguard Sentinel, come to think of it. Siege going, measuring his control area to take shots at the Hyperion, just to start dealing some damage to it. It does have a significant number of shield damage boxes, I believe 10 or 12, meaning that it's going to be pretty survivable, especially because with extra focus, Rahn can heal those. Extra focus left over on the Hyperion itself. And then my turn being over. So as you can see, I've moved up Boomhowlers there. The Boomhowlers are starting to dwindle because those Dawnguard Sentinels and the cannons from the Hyperion starting to take their toll on that unit. But I was able to run 2 Boomhowlers in front of the Hyperion, so in order to force him to either remove those models or move them out of the way for the Hyperion to actually advance on the Stormwall. I checked my control area so that the Stormwall is definitely outside of the Hyperion's charging threat range, meaning that the Stormwall won't get beaten up by that giant Retribution Colossal this turn. Maybe take some gunshots. But my opponent deciding to take shots at Boomhowler instead. As you can see, Boomhowler's towing the zone there and towing into that wreck marker that the Phoenix left, giving him cover. He did hit and was able to kill, I believe, Aiyana and Holt with the blast damage. Because that is a power 18 gun, the blast damage on the AoE turns out to be power 9, which is just fine at killing armor 11 models. And the little guns going into the Boomhowlers in the Hyperion's way. The other one going into Boomhowler himself, not doing a lot of damage. Oh, I'm not sorry, not Boomhowler himself. Because Boomhowler was in cover, my opponent decided to shoot the other Boomhowler Trollkin that was in front of the Hyperion, killing both of them. All right. I believe this is Rahn going up. He's deciding to cast Force Hammer onto that Boomhowler and to Boomhowler himself in order to punch him out of the zone and to deal a significant amount of damage. Rahn getting pretty far up to do this, though. He's looking to clear that zone, so he has cleared all of the Boomhowlers out, and all he needs to do is kill off the gun mages, or not the gun mages, sorry, the rangers, in order to be controlling that zone and start scoring scenario points. Because my Boomhowlers are all dead, the Stormwall is probably going to have to move into the zone in order to contest it, to stop the to stop my opponent from scoring. At that point, the Hyperion will just kill him off. So there's Boomhowler getting killed by Battle Mage Force Bolt. I believe Rahn feeded at this time, actually, to give them boosted attack rolls and +2 range. The killing off Taryn, I think, just died there. Shooting at Victor Pendrake, knocking him down, and then shooting into the Rangers. Lots of Force Bolts going around. And there you go. There's the last Ranger getting killed, so my opponent will be controlling the zone this turn and scoring 1 scenario point, and then tapping the clock over to me. At this point, I notice Rahn's very far forward. You can't really see him behind the Hyperion there, but he's just in that small forest, just up to the that would be his right of the Hyperion. Because I don't think he's camping a significant amount of focus, 1 or 2 at most, because he did allocate a few to the Hyperion and then cast Force Hammer, which is an expensive spell in and of itself. The Ranger's running in order to get Mark Target onto Rahn. Because he does have Force Barrier as well as the concealment bonus from hiding in the forest, he's going to be defense 18 against my shooting. So the Stormwall going in, being a rat 8 because of the Mark Target bonus from the Rangers, taking some shots at Rahn, dealing a couple points of damage. And then dropping Covering Fire just in case to stop the Battle Mages from advancing. Reinholdt advancing, reloading. The Journeyman Warcaster, Arcane shielding Siege, trying to take a shot at that last Dawnguard Sentinel, but unfortunately being out of range. Siege is walking up to get Rahn inside his weapon range, feeding, using Ground Pounder to ignore the concealment bonus that Rahn has, and killing him in 1 shot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this battle report. It was a pretty interesting one. As you can see, it was a pretty even attrition match on both sides. Unfortunately, the Stormwall had taken a lot more damage than the Hyperion had, so I think my opponent did have a leg up in the long game there, because the Hyperion could take a lot more beating than the Stormwall could. Unfortunately, he got too aggressive on scenario, and because Siege hadn't used his feat yet, he still had a very viable assassination run in the chamber to use if Rahn ever got too close, which, to my opponent's chagrin, he did, and Siege was able to shoot him down. So, stay tuned for more battle reports. I have 2 more coming up within the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. And spoiler alert, none of them feature Cygnar. We are going to have a lot of Retribution on the show coming up, though, so stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and visit my channel and my website, wavetheswan.com. Thank you very much for watching.